No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ola, for setting this up, and thank you, everybody, for sharing your time with me. It's much appreciated. I too am delighted to welcome you to another Saudade webinar. For those of you that don't yet know me or Saudade, Saudade is a Portuguese word that doesn't have a direct translation, but talks to a feeling of nostalgia and a longing to return to a place that has special meaning or sort of special meaning and special feelings in your heart. So when Sarah, my wife, who is the creative genius behind what we do, um, when we were thinking about it, she was doing some research and we came across this word saudade, and that basically perfectly encapsulates the way that Sarah and I feel about Saudade, about the property, about the archipelago, about Mozambique. And we've been lucky enough to be here for 20 years, and I think we've found a really perfect name for what we are trying to do. So hopefully we will get you along on this Saudade journey. And we look forward to welcome you and your guests to Saudade in the coming months and years ahead. So where are we? We're just moving into our sort of second year of operations. And we have been working with our fabulous Small World marketing team since literally since the end of February 2025. So we've only just moved into our second year. And you know, working with Anita, Alice, Orla, Adele, and now Liv too, has been a pleasure so far, and we couldn't have done it without them. So thank you to all of those ladies for their care and guidance in our journey to date. It's been much appreciated. And then obviously the market reception that we've had so far from you guys as agents and guests that have been to visit us has, it's been super, super gratifying. We've had just the most fabulous feedback and most fabulous kind of engagement with guests. And I'm lucky enough to be here in Mozambique running it as an owner managed property. So I get to engage with them flat out. And it's always gratifying to get messages from them after 6 months. Many of your clients are lucky enough to travel 3, 4, 5 times a year. And many of them send me a WhatsApp to say, look at the beautiful view from this place, but we wish that we would come back to Saudade. It just got a special place in our heart. So when I get those kind of messages, it's always very, very gratifying. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that have been supporting us so far over our first year. And just to quote one stat at you guys before we start, when we started with Ola and the team and Alice and everybody from Small World Marketing in February last year, it wasn't the ideal time to start because Mozam had some of their kind of election violence issues, and we'd been slapped with a do not travel advisory from both the UK and the US. So the first half of the year was kind of a bit of a struggle for us trying to get some traction. But literally from the second half of the year, we really started to get traction. And we ended our first full year wasn't full year then, but we ended last year, 31st of December, when I did the calculations from our, what's it called? The booking system, our Knightsbridge booking system. We ended on 38% occupancy for the entire year, which we were very happy with as a first year, given the way that we started. And just as a thank you to all of you, as of the 13th of March, so basically about a month ago now, which was only 2.5 months into the year, we were already at 39% occupancy for the full year of 2027. So we are on the right track, and the feedback that we're getting from guests and the feedback that we're getting from those of you that are already using us for your clients has just been super gratifying. So thanks so much. I'm going to move on to the presentation shortly with Ola, and Ola will help me drive it. But apart from the obvious things around like where we are based, and who we are as an exclusive beach destination, and that we're in Vilanculos, and that we've got how many suites, and are we fully catered or not fully catered, and does it include drinks, and do we get collected from the airport? All that sort of stuff we'll try and share with you in this presentation. But really, I'd like you to think or have in the back of your minds as I go through these things, 3 key ideas that I really wanted to share with you today, and that I've learned over this past year, that are important to us as Saudade, as Sarah and I. There are three things that I'd love you to keep in the back of your minds when I go through this presentation with you. One is a sense of place. So for us, Saudade is always about a sense of place, and a place that is both, culturally and locally relevant to everything that's happening here. We never want our guests to feel like they are in the south of France or in the Bahamas or anywhere else in the world. I mean, all those places are beautiful and all of them have their own relevance. But when guests come to stay with us at Saudade, we want them to live and feel and understand that they are in Mozambique. So that one of the key issues I want you to try and keep in mind is that sense of place. The second one would be just around what we try and do always as a family-owned and family-run business. We want to be, offering a guest service and a guest engagement model that is local and it's authentic. We want to deliver a 5-star service, but that doesn't mean that 5-star service has to try and replicate something that you'd find in Grosvenor Square or anywhere, New York City. We want to offer, again, a locally authentic guest service and engagement model with our guests as a family-owned business. And then the third thing I'd like you just to keep in mind, again, you guys know your guests best, but keep in mind that these things are an active choice for us at Saudade and for Sarah and I as owner managers of this business. And we realize that we actually don't want to be all things to all people. So we are really actively trying to attract yourselves as agents and your guests, because you know your guests well, that those ideas of sense of place and locally authentic an active choice to be a slower and more engaging place are important to us. So, if your guests are looking for a resort type place, we're probably not the right place, and that's fine by us. So let's try and keep those in mind when we go through the presentation here. So for me, as I started, what is Saudade all about? Saudade isn't a word that can be translated. It talks to feelings, it talks to emotions, it talks to who we are. So it's a feeling, and our guests carry home with them, hopefully. That's always important to us. Thanks, Ola. Just forward. The destination, clearly where we are, we're in Vilanculos. We're about 20 minutes away from the airport. We collect all our guests in a lovely old vintage Land Rover, and that is part of the experience too. If it's raining, we'll make sure that they get to us in a comfortable air-conditioned car. But other than that, this destination and the fact that we're lucky enough to be in Mozambique, in this beautiful archipelago, which is a World Heritage Site, and I've been here been lucky enough to be coming here 25 years. The work that is being done in this archipelago and in the national park, the Bazaruto National Park, what I see now compared to what I saw 20 years ago, the beaches are cleaner. There's more sea life. 20 years ago, if we saw a dugong once or twice when we were here for a 3-week holiday period, it was a lot. Now our guests are seeing the dugongs probably once a week if we're lucky. And for me, just before going on, although we're based on the mainland, we're in this fabulous archipelago, and we do send our guests out, on a island safari day where we'll send them with a picnic and snorkeling safari, etc. Part of the process of that I think we're very lucky to be able to send our guests on is the fact that it's a 30 or 35-minute crossing to whatever island that we choose to send them to based on where the wind, etc., is going. I don't see that as a shortcoming. I describe that as a 35-minute game drive on the water, where your guests will be lucky enough to engage or see dugongs or turtles and dolphins, etc. And mostly in the morning when they go out, it's completely flat and completely calm. It's just the most beautiful thing. So the whole destination of where we are in Mozambique and part of this beautiful Bazaruto archipelago is one of the very special things of Saudade and of what we can offer. So I think I've spoken to this already. Saudade was and has been born from a love of the people, of the place, of the lifestyle. Hopefully you guys get that sense from this presentation as we move through. We are actively engaged in trying to be a more slower paced. We've got fabulous Wi-Fi, so if anybody needs to work, they can. But we actively encourage our guests and our friends when they leave here to disconnect from from the busy lives that we all lead. It's just such a fabulous place to be able to come and spend time, with a partner or with a family, and actively spend time at dinner or at lunch or on the boat talking about things that we generally don't spend time connecting on. So, it was born from a place of love, and Sarah and I, are very lucky to have been here 25 years. A number of our staff, where we started in Vilanculos, they've been working for us for 10 or 15 years, some of them, and that being part of in and part of the community here in Mozambique is a very special part of what we have to offer. And hopefully our guests feel that. I often get, as I said, some of the guests would WhatsApp me. They refer to our staff as part of their family in Mozambique, often after 6 months when they send me a WhatsApp. So it's a very special place, and I hope you get that feeling, and we'd love to share that with them. It's made by hand. So we want people to feel that Saudade is of its place. You can see here, all the things that you see here on the left-hand side photograph, those lounges were made by artisans in our workshop at the back. I thought 2 or 3 of these carpenters would have left us long time ago. Since we've been open since about October of the year before last, officially only since February, a number of those carpenters, old Beloy and Sergio, are still working for us. And as much as I'm trying to get them off the payroll, Sarah has always got new stuff for them to build. So that, hopefully you see that on the right-hand side, the bench there that was built in our workshop, those light shades, both sets of light shades. The wooden ones were carved, the grass ones were woven. What are those things called? The mirrors on the back, those are hardwood mirrors that were carved by an artisan that I've been working with for probably 10 years. He's made a whole lot of hard benches and all sorts of different things for us. So it's really a place to slow down and enjoy, and hopefully it builds to that sense of place. So there's just some more photos on the left-hand side. That is the patio, which is very much the heart of our villa space. There is dining and lounging space, but again, baskets woven here. A number of those wooden objects were also built here or made here by us, picked up on our travels through Mozambique. Thanks, Ola. And again, so Saudade is intentionally small. Hopefully you're getting a sense of those 3 key ideas. That doesn't matter whether I'm talking about, the way things are, the way things look, the way things feel, the way things laid out. They should all be about those items of sense of place, local and authentic, and an active choice to be in that way. We've only got 6 suites. We've actually got 5 suites and a bunk room that is ideal either for twin guests. So all our beds in all our suites are built in. So there are 3 suites with king beds, 2 suites with queen beds, and then the 6th bedroom is what we like to call our family or bunk room. That's often used either when we have got a special request for, I don't know, a mum and an older daughter that are traveling together, or 2 friends that need that room to be set up in a twin. That room can be set up as a twin room. It's also very, very popular when we have exclusive use bookings, in which case the entire Saudade can take up to 14 or 16 people, depending on the age of the youngsters. When it's on an FIT basis, it's a maximum of 10 guests, and we like it that way, simply because it's smaller, quieter, more intimate. yet guests often, end up chatting to each other, or sometimes even having guests, dinner together or playing a game of petanque on the petanque pitch, which is next to the pool. So it has a kind of mixture of small and intimate, but not so small that there's nobody else around, which is quite nice. Thank you, Ola. I'm going to go through some of the detail of the suites just for those of you that haven't seen them. As I said, there are 5 suites and the what we call our bunk room. The 5 suites, this is our honeymoon suite. All the suites they've all got these they all have a similar feel, which hopefully gives you again a sense of Mozambique. The picture on the left is looking from the bed out to out towards the ocean. We've actually got a photographer coming on Saturday who will be here for 3 days to update a number of our images. On the left, since this image was taken, there has been a pathway built so that from the main suite you can actually walk out directly down to the pool through the bush on a private pathway down to the pool and down to the beach. So you don't actually even have to go through the villa anymore if you don't want to. This has a bathroom, sorry, a bath and a shower. It's the only suite that has a bath and a shower, but all the suites have have a double vanity. They all have air conditioning. They all have a paddle fan. They all have these oversized, specially made mosquito nets. They all have a shower and they all have a separate loo. Yeah, they're all nice and large. This one in particular, or the previous one in particular, has its own private seating area. The Fern and the Frangipani suites. These are also king-size beds. They are directly below the patio space. So these are what I describe as on the lower ground floor. You can walk out of these directly onto the lawn and down to the pool. Since this photograph on the right-hand side was taken, we've actually added in some additional privacy shutters. So if you move your mouse where those 2 pillars are, basically in the front of those pillars, there are some shutters, privacy shutters that can be closed so that now, I mean, even those ferns have grown up, so there's great privacy. But should anybody be sitting at the pool and turn around to look back, you won't be able to see into either the fern or the frangipani room. They are completely private, yet they still have this magnificent view over the pool and to the ocean and the islands beyond. These are both king-size beds. They also have an internal private seating area, and they have these little private patio spaces as well, which are often used by guests in the morning. They open those shutters and then enjoy a cup of coffee, before coming up to the main suite area or the main patio space. Those are the Fern and Frangipani. Our entry-level rooms, these are our Orchid and Marula suites. These have queen-size beds. The way I like to describe these, they don't, from their bed, have a full ocean view. I would describe it as a partial ocean view. So from the Marula suite, if you're sitting on your bed, you can still see the ocean, but you do have some obstructions to it, where the Orchid suite, you don't see it directly from your room. But as the third image there of the 2, the middle image is from the left. The third image from the left is of the Orchid room. If you come out, you have this private courtyard space where and off to the right you also have a view of the ocean, and that also has its own private beach pathway down to the swimming pool and to our Ocean Beach Club. So they all have these private access entry points. So none of them, although we only have 5 suites and the bunk room, none of them feel like they are on top of each other. And you very seldom get a sense of, well, somebody can look into my suite from anywhere, because we have designed the space with these private access ways from the outside. And then this is our bunk room suite. As I said, this has internal access. That has 2 queen beds that you can see there on the ground level. And then this has got this little mezzanine space upstairs that has 2 single beds. This is very, very popular when, if you've got a multi-generational family group can take like 14 to 16 people. This bunk room will take 4 to 6, depending on, how old the kids are, but actually also often gets used, as we said, as a twin. But when it's booked on an FIT basis, or when Saudade is booked on an FIT basis, we will only ever use 5 of the 6. So this suite only ever actually gets used when there's a special request for a twin setup, or alternatively when it's used on an exclusive use basis. Again, all these bedrooms have separate bathroom, all have a shower. This one has an external outside courtyard shower as well. They all have air conditioners. They all have paddle fans. They all have these oversized mosquito nets. They all have a double vanity. They all have a separate loo. And that's the bunk room suite. Sort of life beyond the suite. Again, for us, one of the ideas of sense of place and local and authentic, and a choice to slow down, is that guests get to come and enjoy some time at the pool, or go down, from the pool another 10 or 15 paces onto our beach club space. That is, again, another private space for them to enjoy, hopefully without ever feeling rushed or managed. We have plenty of staff to look after you, but one of the things that we like to do, we assign to every suite a pair of what we like to call guest hosts rather than butlers, so that they do early shift and late shift. The guys that look after you and look after your room will get to know who you are and know your names. They will come down and find you at the beach if they know that, well, they will know that you're at the beach, because that's their job to do so. They'll bring a little cooler box with some water and ask, can we get you a snack? Would you like a cocktail, etc.? So there's always somebody to look after you, but we don't want it to feel fussy and kind of in your face. So they should hopefully always be a little bit in the background. But if you need to turn around and give a wave, somebody will be there to help you. We also always like the bar. We don't have a bar and a barman where you have to go and ask for a whiskey. The guys will bring you a whiskey if that's what you want, or a cocktail, but we equally want you to or your guests to feel comfortable to jump up and go and look at what's on the bar and then help themselves to something. We want them to feel home away from home when they're there, and we never want them to feel rushed, but we always want them to feel engaged, and that our team will be looking after them to the best of our ability. Thanks, Alda. The veranda, this is kind of very much the heart of the villa. It is where we do a lot of dining and a lot of lounging around. So the image on the left, since this image has been taken, there have been some front tables added so that guests often enjoy breakfast sitting. We've built some tables that are sort of built into the sort of little stairways or the stair space that goes down, so that you can enjoy sitting together, looking out to the ocean, looking out to the islands beyond, and watching the tide come and go. One of the things that is really beautiful about Saudade is the fact that the tide comes and goes, and that we are in this beautiful bay where there's always passing trade, in terms of, there's a local dhow passing by, or there's a fishing boat going by. So you almost feel like you are watching like a painting as it emerges. It's always changing. It's not just a view of the ocean and the horizon beyond. Thank you. The internal living space, we do have a big internal living space that has both dining here. This was set up for an exclusive use dining space, but can be set up for individual dining. We also have a big internal lounging space. Mostly the internal space only gets used when the weather's bad, or sometimes in the evenings, sort of July, August, where it can be a bit cooler. If guests don't want to sit on the patio, I mean, mostly it's perfectly good to sit on the patio or somewhere else with a light jersey on. It's hardly a big, thick, woolly jumper like you're used to in Europe. Mostly just a light thing. But if it's chilly or it's wet and raining, there is space inside for guests to enjoy. The beach club, we're looking forward to having some new photos of this. Since this photo on the right has been taken, all that area on the left-hand side where those pillars are is now completely covered in greenery. There's a big green bank there. We've added a whole number of palm trees. There are canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddle boards that are down on the beach here that the guys that work in this part of the lodge will help to get up and down for you. Again, there you can see a beach breakfast that was set up. We like to do that often when guests are doing their, island day. We often have a beach breakfast set up for them. Then they'll see their boat arriving. It's a bit of a James Bond moment where the boat arrives and they kind of then get ushered out to their boat, introduced to the skippers. The guys will come down with a cooler box with a picnic and whatever it is that their tipple of choice, and off they go for a beautiful day out on the islands. And as I said, that whole part of getting to the islands is part of the adventure, if you ask me, and really a great opportunity to bump into a dugong or some dolphins or anything else. This beach club is also completely private. It is set slightly elevated from the beach, so you still get a fabulous view. The thing about Vilanculos, though, is while that beach is public access, there are very few people on the beach, and you're very unlikely to get harassed to buy a sarong or buy a pineapple. It just doesn't happen where we are, which is great. The archipelago is our playground. I think I spoke to this really at the beginning of the presentation. The guys the team from the National Parks Board are supported by African Parks, which is a private organization that is really good at helping them run these places really efficiently and make sure the money's going to where it's supposed to be. They've done a fantastic job, and I think I've already said, the amount of dugongs that we're seeing, all that sort of stuff is just fabulous. Yeah, the dhow, these are just some of the trips. We have a dhow, our own dhow that is hand built and goes to a sandbank. It's a fabulous sandbank that only pops its head out on low tides. We often send guests there with a picnic and a cooler box. There's the island safari and castaway picnic. I've already spoken about that. There's island hopping. We only work with guys that are really reputable operators. The Vilanculos Market and Village Tour, that's a hugely successful. And again, we work with two local guides, two local men that the guests will be collected from Saudade. They'll go in a little tuk-tuk, get a real experience of what a local market feels like. This photograph here is taken at one of the curio stalls on their way home. But the real benefit of this is they'll get to go with a local guide to a local market and get to experience, this is how the ladies sell fish, this lady does vegetables, etc. So they get to engage with the local people as a result of being with a local guide. Then there's the seahorse safari, just very briefly. I'm very passionate about this one. We're working again with local people that are subsistence fishing people. You'll go out in their dhow. Little sail, takes 10 minutes to get on their little sailboat to a very shallow, what do you call it, seagrass meadow. It's no deeper than waist deep. They've got fabulous snorkels and masks that you can snorkel around with. These little creatures are, they're older than 15 million years. That's how long they've been on Earth. And they were getting really badly poached. And as a result of this initiative that we're involved with, and other lodges are involved with, the conservation ethos is starting to filter through. And not only the conservation ethos, the money that we collect is $60 per person to go. All 100% of that goes back into the community and is used for various community initiatives, which is great. We can obviously offer world-class fishing and diving. We don't do that ourselves, but we partner with a number of great operators that I've known the owners for 20 years, and we can do that. We can organize all that stuff for your guests. Whale watching in the winter, the horse safari, the stables for the horse safari they've added a stable that's less than a 5-minute walk down the beach from Saudade. Also a great opportunity either to go, if you're a proper horseman, for a proper outride. They'll take you 90 minutes or 2 hours, galloping along the beach. Equally, if you are a novice, they'll take you with a groom and walk you and go for a swim in the water with the horses. The horses absolutely love it. It's again another big thing there. Or simply rest. As I'm saying, we'd like people to spend time engaging and resting. The other thing, finally, just around the dining, we're very proud of our dining. We are obviously very food forward on what we do. Sarah and I are both big foodies. We spend a lot of time engaging, trying to build sort of a menu that is modern and seafood forward and fresh and always kind of seasonal. We try and get our guests to eat in very many different places. Here you'll see an exclusive use setup on the petanque pitch next to the pool, but we will, there's one on the left-hand side where it was just for a couple. Always authentic, always hopefully refined, always local. We're quite seafood forward, but there's always a vegetarian option and there's always a chicken and meat option too. And then obviously the crockery and cutlery and tableware, we try and go, you're very unlikely if you stay with us for 3 or 4 nights to be using the same plate or seeing the same plate on your table more than once. Yeah. Owner managed, again, I think you can hopefully hear in my voice that this is a special part of the world. It's very special to us, and being here, being able to share with our guests the story of what Saudade is and give them the benefit of 20 years of experience here and what to do and what to see, etc. That's important to us. And really, the fact that many of our staff have been with us for more than 10 years, just in my opinion, speaks volumes about what we're about and what we're trying to do. We don't see ourselves as South Africans coming and investing in it. We see ourselves very much of and part of the community. And our community engagement, yeah, we talked about the seahorse safari already, but the other thing is that we are deeply engaged in and with the community. So everything that we've built is built with local people. It's built by local people using local materials, and often with Sarah's design eye. You can see these totem pole type things were made by a local man using Sarah's expertise and ideas, but he carved them from wood completely by himself. So it's really important to us that these people are learning new skills and learning capabilities that they wouldn't have if we weren't around. I think, yeah, the last screen here is very much about hopefully guests leave carrying Saudade in their hearts. It's all about a feeling. It's all about emotions. It's all about slowing down and being connected to what Mozambique has to offer. So thank you for your time, and thank you again for those of you that have sent guests to see us. We look forward to welcoming more guests, and I'm here to answer any questions. Ola, I'll hand over to you.